brightest blessings, beloved lovers of life, love, light, and liberation. Here we are with another episode of the Turning of the Ages Mystery School's Seed People Spotlight, where I introduce you to some of the amazing, incredible, inspiring people that are somehow, in one way or the other, associated with our school. Today, I am really jubilant to be here with someone who has become a dear, dear friend and someone who is probably one of, if not the longest standing active elder in our school, Gael Chilson. Gael, welcome, 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 welcome. I'm so happy to have you here with us.
Thank you so much, Naraya. Thank you so much. You are a blessing for the school. I mean, all that you do, your personage, you bring so much to the school. I am so grateful that you are part of.
Well, then I'm in the right company here right now, I suppose, because that's why I really was quite adamant to have you on this show, to really offer an insight to others, to viewers, and whoever might be watching this. I also really welcome you very warmly. I know we have some regulars here who watch almost, or if all episodes of this, and that is really much appreciated. So press the like button below. I mean, all those types of things. I don't need to rattle them down for you. Others do that. So yeah, Gail, I find it really hard to introduce you. Some things that I know what to say about you is, first of all, the one thing I mentioned already, you have had that connection with Daniel, and through the various iterations of his schools right to the present day, for decades. And I know in a moment you'll probably tell us more about that and when that all started and how it started. I know you are also very much involved. I can't quite now recall what your position there is with the Tucson Astrologers Guild. And you have also hosted Daniel there for in-person events and talks over many decades and over again, whenever it is that he is in the US. And the other thing I would like to say about you is that you are the custodian of an amazing piece of land, sanctuary of land in southern Arizona, inclusive of a stone circle on a hill, some amazing night sky, and some amazing. This is the high desert of Arizona. For some of you who might not be aware, what that looks like is all these huge saguaro cacti raising their arms to the heavens, and their heads and their arms, they look very lifelike and human-like very often. And on Gail's land, there is also a presence that she has introduced to me as Grandmother Saguaro, where I had big initiations. That Grandmother Saguaro has relayed a message to me that lives within me and asks me to this day. So I'm so grateful that back then in 2023, I was able to spend some time at Gail's place. And so then, Gail, just take it away. I don't know where you want to start with all of that. And I'm interested, and I'm sure others as well, to hear a little bit about all of it.
Well, thank you, Naraya. Thank you for that beautiful description of where I live. Yes. I have known Daniel since the last Saturn-Neptune conjunction. That was in '89. That conjunction was at a pivotal place in my chart, in my life. It was such a life-changing period of growth, of spiritual growth, change for me. And into it all walks Daniel. I was I had gotten to know the Tucson Astrologers Guild in 1986 and become a part of the Astro Players in time for the United Astrologies conference in 1986 in San Diego, and we got to do the talent show and that kind of thing. Very much involved with the astro drama that the Tucson Astrologers Guild was doing, and the gal that was basically the guild mother at the time in 1989, she said, "Hey, there's this guy speaking up at the Arizona Society of Astrologers up in Scottsdale," and she said, "You want to go up and see what he's about?" Sure. And we drove up there and got to be there they have a Friday and Saturday thing too, and I was impressed. Obviously, I was impressed with what this guy was telling us, and he said he was offering an astrological vision quest the following weekend up in Sedona, and I said, "Wow, I want to be there. Sign me up, and the rest is history. I went to that vision quest in Sedona. We had a night sky talk, but then we went out. We drove up to this location outside of Sedona in the rocks, and there was a huge cave in the land, and we spent several days there. And at night, we were invited to go up and be with the stars all night. That was the mission. The whole thing was built around making it possible for us to be with the night sky all night. And that was beautiful, because I became friends with the sky. I started to have this friendship, or this understanding of how it all worked, to see how things moved across the sky, the constellations. I really focused on the goatfish that night. I got my own personal interpretation of the goatfish that night. It's a walrus. Well, it's like a walrus to me, I think.
Exactly. That's how I feel about it as well. But anyway, yeah, no, this is what it's all about, and what Daniel keeps reiterating and the school keeps reiterating over and over again. It's about receiving, having the understanding to see what's going on, so you can create your own ceremonies and you can receive your own transmissions.
Yes.
Not what someone tells you in an astrology book, not this, not that, not the other. You're direct. I always say, it's whether you go to church and want to find God via a priest, or you just talk to God.
Yes, we form our own connection with the sky and the constellations and the stars and the planets. We have our own connection, so we can receive that transmission directly. So anyway, that was the beginning of this amazing association I've had with Daniel and his teachings. I immediately I started putting rocks, on the roof deck. I started with the roof deck, and then after a while, I jokingly described myself as one of Daniel's groupies for a long time, because wherever he was having an event around here, I remember the Chiricahuas. I went over and drove through this flooding wash to get to this event. It was quite undertaking to watch an eclipse, or I forget. It's just so many events, and I'd always, and of course, the Tucson Astrologers Guild, because I liked him, and Layla liked him too. We'd invite Daniel to come speak to us, and he actually even lived in Tucson in the early 90s there for a while before he went off and someplace else. but we'd have him back as often as he could. And I really, really took to heart the way he was teaching astrology. It gave me, even though I picked up the same book as he did in the beginning. Way back in '69, I found that Dane Rudyard's Astrology of Personality on the bookshelf, and I read it and studied it. It was the same book that he picked up at that same time. I just said, of course, our charts are so close. He was born 4 days before I was. He got the Capricorn moon, I got the Pisces moon. So he's the teacher and I'm the service worker.
Oh, but I have to comment on that, Gail, because when I was hanging out there with you and Daniel at the time, and we did some outings, the three of us as well, and it was absolutely a fantastic and hilarious experience to witness the two of you together in the car, you know, literally like a brother and sister kind of thing. Little bit of bickering, and then that great love, that huge connection. So that's how I literally feel you are, a brother and sister combo coming together.
It's amazing. We joke about being he's my sister of a different mother. He's my brother from
Yes.
a different mother. He calls me his sister from a different mother. I don't know, but it's just I wrote that song at one point for his 75th birthday about it being it's been a long line from one mother to another. It's a long time. It's a long line. And now we've been here before. We've been coming back again. I just know, I feel like I've known Daniel for lifetimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no, I remember that song. It still gives me the chills, really, that you're mentioning that. That's just so incredible, when you have that deep soul recognition. Well, we've been here before. We've got work to do. We have an assignment together in one way or the other, and what does that mean? How does that actually want to be expressed in this lifetime? Mhm.
So it took a while before he actually decided to have an event here at my house. But in 2003, March of 2003, the school, which was at that time called the Shamanic Astrology Mystery School, had a 5-day intensive here at my house. And that was the beginning. We had just before that, the gal that was helping to facilitate, she and I had gone up to my stone circle. She had found a snake skin, put it in the under the middle stone of my stone circle. Really, I really worked at putting the finishing, making it more presentable for this work. It pushed me to work on the house. I did a whole lot of things to make it possible, but we were, everybody was kind of free flowing and willing to sit on the floor. And it was, and being this cauldron, it was like a cauldron of energy, transformative energy. We lit the fire, and we had created the guy that is my tenant here, does a lot of the work around here, Steve. He and I had created a campfire circle, a place to have a campfire, but it had never been used until along came the school, and we had that event, and we lit the fire for the first time. And there's so many stories, so much
Yeah.
beautiful energy that has been brought here to this land by the people that have come here. We had an event here every year from 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then at the end of 2007, we had a 3-day event for solstice. And it was at that time that we had to give up our hopes for having the school at Faywood, because there had been these great
Oh, right. Yeah.
Faywood
Mhm.
Hot Springs, where Daniel and the owner of the hot springs had erected that beautiful stone circle. and the owner of the hot springs, Elon, had really given Daniel permission to dream big, you know, to think of what could happen. And then Elon was gone in just a few months from cancer. And this other guy gave us some hope of creating an even bigger school just nearby the hot springs. And that's just like some grandiose idea of what could happen. You know, that had fizzled away. And so the energy shifted here. Seo, who was one of the certified people, Shamanic astrologers, he was here that December, and he said, he looked around, he'd walked around, he says, well, Daniel, why don't you make this the school? And so we really, you know, thought about, and we had, you know, like 5 events here in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12. I mean, 5 events a year. I mean, huge amount of energy. And never happened in the summer, of course, but we had the spring, a couple of events, fall, a couple of events, a solstice gathering. It was wonderful energy. It was to hear all people laughing and joking on the porch here, and then everybody out there. And I had a hot tub that was out in the under the
Ooh.
stars. Love to sit in that and look at the sky. You know, there was an eclipse in 2010, and by that time in 2009, Daniel had rented my neighbor's double wide, which is just barely a tenth of a mile from here, a short walk. And people would go over there for the classes. It was big. It had a nice big space for the classes, and then they would stay at my house and they would eat meals at my house, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I remember the 2010 time when there was the eclipse on the solstice, and you know, a couple of us would be sitting in the hot tub where we could enjoy the whole perfect luxurious comfort in the spa. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know you mentioned at some point that, you know, overall more than 40 events have been
Yeah,
hosted
yeah. So
at your place. I mean, that, you know, people who come newly into the school, including myself, I'm now not newly in the school anymore, but I still kind of feel like it compared to some of those people who have really been around for a decade, more, 2, 3 decades. Or recently, someone, you know, came back into the school after not having met Daniel in person for over 20 years.
right.
And somehow, you know, she came to one of the events and wanted to get recertified. She had been certified at some point during her journey. And I find that really inspiring. You know, you realize that not all the seeds you plant germinate immediately. You know, some seeds, they just sit there for a very long time, or maybe they, you know, you plant a whole field of seeds and some germinate and come up immediately. And then after such a long time, suddenly you get a different new growth there, you know, so it's very, very interesting. Mm.
I have a um, file full of all those records. I never throw anything away. That used to consent. But I think, oh, someday I should go through it and mark all those people that came to those events. You know, I have all that as a records. It might be interesting for the archive someday. So
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And also I also know that you've gone on quite a number of the what I would call the sacred journeys or sacred sites visits, even over to the British Isles with Daniel and the school, so to say. You know, it's not just always about Daniel as a person, but the whole setting as
yeah.
it was and is at the moment. I know you've been there to Callanish, to Newgrange, I believe, also in Ireland. I don't know whether that was one and the same trip or whether it was, but whatever. Anything
Let
you
me
would like to share about that?
let me catch up just a bit. I left that little bit out, you know, the experience of the sky, and how it works. But Daniel discovered Fish Lake Valley, and then we're around
Right.
90,
Mm.
98. And I went up to an event he was holding in Grass Valley, an intensive. And then after that, we all went to Fish Lake, and he held another teaching there at Fish Lake Valley, where all these petroglyphs are. And we went there at solstice in 98, and we got to really experience how the sun, as the sun came up, how it hit the petroglyphs that were on the rocks, and they came alive. And I got that experience of what the ancient people had done in this land, the indigenous people there in that site in Nevada. And so later, there it was 2006, the lunar standstill, moon out of bounds. And I had the ability, I can't believe it, I had the ability to travel to Scotland that year. I just went to Scotland with the group. Shamanic Astrology Tour is like none others. None others. There is no other. And went out to Callanish. And not only was this experience, the teaching of that Margaret that was there, who'd studied it for so long and was able to tell us exactly all these different facets of those amazing stone formations. And as we watched it through the night and watched the moon walk on the land, she does over that mountain. And there's this one special, to me, the most special place was where those three stones are that mirror the triple goddess in the sky, or they call it
Mm-hmm.
the summer
I think
triangle.
officially that's even called Kalanish 3. I mean,
Yeah,
the
right.
Kalanish 1 is the main
Hellenic
site,
tree.
and I think Kalanish 3 is that particular stone circle of the triple goddess and the so-called green man or the man.
Yes,
Or
and the green man, and it took us a while to figure out what that was, but the moon, when it is so extremely out of bounds, that stone represented that moon out of bounds, bringing the fertile energy to the goddess. Because you have the maiden, the mother, and the crone represented in those stones. But I got to sit with the crone, which is Altair in the sky, and twice, 2 years in a row. But each time I had this experience of that stone being like a codex that held the memory of the formation of this planet in the solar system. It was so strong. It's such one of those transmissions that I'll never forget. I'm deeply connected to that site. I feel it so in such an experiential way.
Can I ask you, as you were just mentioning, I mean, that's just really a personal interest question. You were saying that the crown stone in that circle is aligned with Altair, right? Are
Yeah.
the three of them aligned with the summer triangle? So with Vega, Altair, and Deneb?
Deneb is the maiden, Vega the mother, and Altair the crone.
Okay, yeah, no, okay, thank you.
If they at that latitude, which is up there about 60 degrees latitude, that formation was really, really strong. And in previous ages, as talk about the precession of the ages, and in different ages, of course, that when Vega, there was 13,000 years ago, Vega was the pole star. So I mean, it
Yeah.
was in a even more prominent position in ages past.
Right, when and representing the mother. So imagine what that feels like when you have that I have the summer triangle here above in the evenings right now quite prominently. And when that very bright star Vega is where everything else rotates around. So here we have the mother and everything
Yeah.
goes around the mother, which is the truth of planetary reality in my perspective. You know, great goddess, mother, those types of things, you know, without her, no life. The spirit can do whatever spirit wants to do, but without mother, mater, matter, there's just no creation happening in this
Right.
realm, right? There are other creations happening in other realms, no question about that. But yeah, so that must have been quite a spectacle.
Mhm. And that connection with my lineage or the past incarnations, you might say, that strong lineage with that time, which was further strengthened the following year by not only again coming to Callanish, but also getting to go to Ireland and
Mm, mm.
experiencing those special cairns there, the crown jewel of Ireland, Newgrange. Um, quite an experience there. Well, our tour group, it was headed up by this fellow Jade, well, at the time. Uh, our tour group was stayed overnight in this beautiful bed and breakfast place next to the National Monument there at Newgrange. And when we went to bed, we said, okay, we're going to meet at, get up in the morning, have breakfast, and then we'll get in the buses and go over there. Well, I was woken up with this dream. In this dream, I had there was Daniel was standing there in the doorway, shaking his finger at me, and I go, "Oh my God!" And I woke up. it was so it was so strong, such a strong dream. And I went out to get my coffee, and the lady at the front desk, said, "Your group has to get over there first thing, or else you won't get to go to see the cairns. You and I tried to tell Jade, and he said, but everybody's, we've told everybody this, and I went back and got my roommate, and we packed our suitcases, put it behind the front desk, and told her, have them pack it on the bus, and we walked. It was just barely a mile. I don't know. Walked over to the New Grange and got on the bus. They had a bus that took you across the River Boyne, and we went. The first tour was around Noth, this one big cairn and as I was walking around it, I had this feeling like I slipped between times. I was all of a sudden back there doing that circumambulation with a hood, walking around that cairn. It was very strong, shifting the time dimensions, whatever. And then we had to get back on the bus. They took us back to the visitor center. We wanted to call and connect, but we couldn't. We didn't have time to call or connect with the group. And then before we got on the next bus and went to Newgrange, that big cairn where that's aligned with the winter solstice, and even as a place where Venus can be seen if Venus is in that cycle where she is in Capricorn rising, or Sag Capricorn rising before the sun at winter solstice.
Mm.
And my roommate had such an experience. I mean, she broke down in tears. She was having such an experience of having been there before. It was a magical, magical time. Spirit got us there. Spirit got us there so that we could have those experiences. Because we got back on the bus and we were headed back to the visitor center. And when it parked, the door opened. Daniel came up and he was saying, well, is Gael Chilson here? Where are you? He was, like there, just like in my dream.
Because they thought you'd gotten lost or
I thought
something. You just walked off
they didn't know
into the dream world.
that we'd gotten lost. Where were we? They couldn't hear, they couldn't connect, and unfortunately, because there were so many visitors that I already scheduled to take the buses, our group none of the rest of anybody, including Daniel, got to go to the Grange that day.
Mm.
If I hadn't had that dream and woken up, I wouldn't have gotten.
Wow. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it was a real gift, a gift. It was such a gift. Uh,
Mm.
we went on, had visited a number of sites there in Ireland. We walked to the top of this hill at one point where there was these little cairns. It wasn't on the map of tourism. We went to these little cairns. And Daniel and I crawled inside this one and sat there in the dark and had a commune to see what was the story in that cairn, how is it aligned. It was a very interesting experience to share with my brother. And then there was a cave on the hillside that we all climbed up to, and it was like this long cave, and it had a big rock formation in the middle of it. It's like a dragon in the cave. Song came to me. We were just having so much fun. It's just connecting with this previous time.
Mm.
Remember,
No, carry on.
no, remembering. No, go ahead.
No, I find it always so mesmerizing to hear these stories and um, in my memory, add my own stories of the few in-person events that I have been to and how personally and within the school is placed so much value on in-person get-togethers and how rare this has become in the astrology world these days,
Right.
especially since the unfortunate times commencing in 2020, where everything was put online, and some people found that so convenient that they don't have to travel anymore. You don't have to pack up anything anymore. There's literally you sit in your home and you do everything from there, and teach and do and what have you. And for me, the real magic, I mean, that gives me information.
Yeah.
There's also this big brainwash about online communities. Well, I don't find community there. Sorry, I don't. There are other people who also do something online, but community is for me still heart to heart, soul to soul, eye to eye contact. And that's why I'm so happy that um, we can still to this day have these in-person experiences. And Daniel has even increased the schedule of that again, despite at his age of 77 now, traveling all the way from the Philippines to wherever it is that such an online in-person event, sorry, is taking place, whether it's in the US or this coming year, we have the solstice event planned for in Spain. And then again, he has a couple of his apprenticeship programs planned for those sacred sites, such as Fish Lake Valley, which you already explained, and we also have another in-person event planned for Faywood Hot Springs, which many of us just have a soft spot in our hearts for, including Daniel as well, with the stone circle there. It's just such a magical place. And the magic is then really brought into our lives by the combination of place and people in circle, right? And that is where,
I've often,
that cannot be matched by anything online. Sorry, I mean, I can do an online course, and yes, all the information, it's all there. And to get ourselves as a group out onto the land, under the sky, and then whatever the actual teaching in the classroom might be. But that experience, I can only say again where the magic is, and you said like over 40 events at your place. And then you've also gone out to all these special sites to have your own experiences and transmissions there. And that's where the gift comes in, you
right.
know.
What it does, it takes it from the head to the heart.
Exactly.
And it gives us a kinesthetic experience, and in the body, a cellular experience that transcends anything head knowledge. It gives
Mhm.
the heart kinesthetic experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
The piece
I
around,
also, Yeah,
Yeah,
I also wanted to ask you, Gail. I mean, I have so many questions, but this one is really quite prominent for me always. Like, as you have been deeply, deeply um, in this paradigm for such a long time, seen its development, felt its development within yourself, so within, as without, so within, I suppose.
mhm.
Um, what would you say has had the greatest impact in your life, or yeah, about this paradigm or being involved with paradigm? What has this done to you, for you, hopefully?
The title I gave my website says it all. At Home with the Stars Astrology.
Mm,
The not you know, and it's not only the connection with the sky, but the way we read a birth chart. Someone brings their birth chart to us. Before shamanic astrology, I was hit or miss. I just didn't have a method. But after I really took this teachings to heart, it gave me a way to read a birth chart and to help a person understand what they were what they had brought into their life and what their life purpose was. The seeing the understanding of how to read the lineage with the moon and the south node, and the evolutionary path with the rising and the north node. I mean, these little key pieces, and the understanding of our feminine and masculine archetypes and how we project, that inner archetype onto somebody, and and invite the shadow or something, how to have that sacred marriage. And I think this is one of the teachings that's front and center right now, that sacred marriage, that between our whatever archetype, whether we're masculine or feminine, that archetype that we're embodying this time, and the marriage with our inner masculine or feminine. I mean, that's a key piece, to being a whole person, and
mm.
a person that can be our authentic self, not playing some role or buying into some cultural story about who we're supposed to be. But I don't know, it's it's changed my life, and it's changed the way I work as an astrologer.
Mm. I find it quite fascinating that, in a nutshell, you basically described the benefits, I would say, of the first. I mean, we were talking a lot about the night sky as well, which is in the school now, the cosmology course, and also what's coming up will be redone in the next couple of months, if not weeks, is the new Synodic Cycles course. So that is the material we've discussed quite substantially, because that's really when that connection of the earth and the sky drops into a visceral understanding and knowing and experience within the self, I believe. And what you've just said was a wonderful encapsulation of the first three courses. So that which makes the level one foundational certification
The
within the
script.
school. So the script, everyone who has that type of information can not only understand themselves at a much, much deeper level. And I mean, believe you me, I've had so many tools in my toolbox and under my belt, was never interested in astrology. And only when I found this paradigm through the night sky connection first,
Right.
that's when I started like, whoa, but this now is something really useful in understanding myself and other people,
Right.
and that's when, oh, okay, yeah, no, that one I want to learn, no, the rest of the astrology world. And that is not meant in a condescending or judgmental way, but it didn't apply to me. It didn't work for me. If I were going for sun sign astrology, I would be put into the Taurus box, into the negative Taurus box very often, and I thought, that hasn't got anything to do with me. That's what I felt, you know. But now when I got it, oh, there's a Venus in Gemini. Oh, I get it now. That's how I tick, or at least that's the intention.
Mhm.
I came in, and just to say that also, that in 2026 a whole entire level one foundational certification program is going to take place starting January 21st, if I'm not mistaken. All the information is on our website, and we would really appreciate for anyone who might be watching this to help us spread the word, because this is such a crucial time. And I think we all know that by now. Nobody has to repeat that another 5 million times. That now there's no better time than now, really, to get that information for ourselves, and also in order maybe to understand others, or even build a career on it, become really a professional astrologer.
I
And
mean,
so, yeah.
a psychologist, person who's a psychologist or social worker, that kind, they can just get a level one certification so that they can understand their clients more, be able to help them more.
Yeah, we have people like that in the school, you know, psychologists, medical doctors, all kinds of people, psychotherapists,
Right.
and other
Yeah.
practitioners, even body practitioners. You know, it makes a lot of sense to many people when they can ask people also about their birth data and look at that chart. Oh, now I know how to work with this body. Oh, now I know how to work with this psyche.
Right.
Now I know how these people tick, so I can help them uncover these patterns much more easily, for instance. I mean, I had a call, just a catch-up video call with a dear friend of mine today, and boy, did it help that I knew her chart.
Mm.
You know, she said, "Oh, I've done this topic, you know, it still haunts me, and I've done so many sessions with my therapist about it. I've done so many sessions with my shamanic teacher about it." And she's also got a lot of tools under her belt. And when I heard that, immediately from the chart information that I have, it was like, have you looked in that direction? And whoops, there it landed. It really hit. So it helps in so many ways. And for myself as well. I know where to look for the shadows. And that's my main thing, you know. In order to become lighter and more enlightened, we have to look where the shadows are, where the heavy stuff is, right? And work with that as diligently and surrendered as possible.
For many years, I had another hat, and that was as a healer, alternative healer, practicing biotouch and raindrop therapy. And I always found it very useful to know the chart of the person I was working on. I'd always ask people their birthday. I just tend to do that with everybody, I guess. That still helps me.
Yeah, we get into the habit, right? To somehow.
And it did help me know the person I was working on, the
Yeah, yeah,
therapy on, who, where those problems might lay, that they were experiencing. It just takes it to a whole nother level to know the astrology through the lens of shamanic astrology, through the lens of
yeah, yeah,
astrology.
yeah.
And let's see, I was thinking about people might have been, and you can find the book on the website, The Origins of the Shamanic Astrology Paradigm.
Oh, right. Yeah, you know, some of the things I could have said about you. Here's another one. Go on.
Was in 2013, as things were winding down here, the things were obviously shifting. It was and Daniel was going to go away. He was leaving that house over there, and so in the last few months, Eric Roth, who had been the general manager of the school for a while, he had become acquainted with this artist that lived just south of here in Tubac. And all of a sudden, the the pictures for the cards that Daniel had wanted for so long for the Shamanic Astrology Divination Oracle card deck. It fell in place because Roy Purcell read the Shamanic Astrology handbook, and it was just where he was. I mean, he was there. He could totally relate to everything, and he'd had such a background of research and paint and artistry relative to the goddess, and in so many the dimensions or the lineage of the goddess, and understood it so well. He made the whole card that he painted cards. He painted the whole set in just a few weeks, and there it was.
Mm.
And so I said, okay, Daniel, it's time for you to write the book. I'll start taking notes. Just tell me what you want to write. I said, it's time. You got to do this. And it took us a few more years to really get it together. But I think that I really was in like playing my part to say, okay, Daniel, now you got to do that, and helping him to put it into form, doing my editor thing. I'm the you described Naraya does this beautiful job of editing and putting Daniel's words onto the Wizard Weekly and in Facebook or whatever, and the website. You do such a beautiful job of it. Yeah.
Well, but that's still a different thing than you back then, really also being the inspiration, not inspiration, but the impetus to say, now is the time,
Right.
and to say, come on, we sit down now, tell me what you want to write, you take notes. And so that is the foundation of that book, which is now known as The Origins of Shamanic Astrology.
I think
And
the last you said something about me being the editor in chief, and I'll always be this editor behind the scenes. Uh, this word should be spelled this way, Daniel, or I think you mean this. Don't you want to say it this way?
yeah.
The punctuation. I am forever the editor. I mean, I really dug into that book and
Absolutely.
the position of editor, and I've got my picture there forever. That picture that was taken back in 2009 when John Dumas was here, and we
Oh.
really working that stone hill where I have my stone circle. There's this mine working there
Mhm.
that is just perfect for the winter solstice. We had that little grotto in it where the sunlight comes in immediately and touches off that inner grotto. And at equinox, though, you can stand in that grotto. And thanks to John Dumas, he added just a little fixture, because a few stones. And so that as the sun comes up and gradually up over that hill, it illuminates the top of somebody's head, just this triangle
Oh, wow.
energy.
That guy. Yeah.
And it has a lot of fun in creating that, and celebrating that. And then that's that picture of me drumming in that book at that time. That's where that's from. But I feel it's so important that Daniel get that message about where it came from, and his information about the different ways people partner up, or the marriage, the way of doing that. And then the pictures in there about the ascendant descendant, the way we it's in
The relationship axis.
the
Yeah.
relationship
Yeah.
axis. Thank you,
Yeah.
Naraya, for supplying those words when I
Don't
lose
worry about it. Sometimes I have to go find them somewhere as well. No, but I find that is also such incredibly rich and useful material.
my.
If I have used that already over and over again to assist couples in understanding
Yeah,
each other better, especially if they have maybe very contrasting and very different relationship axes. And
right.
then, of course, they do all their projections on the other, and then they wonder why they don't get from that person what they want from that person. That obviously leads to conflict, and yet they deeply, deeply love each other and are devoted to each other.
Mhm.
And they still find themselves in this friction. And, I can really remember various cases where I've explained to couples, well, that friction is because of that and that and that. And what she needs is she wants to appreciate it like this, and he wants to appreciate it like this. Oh.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. And also, I just want to remark also on back to the book on the incredibly beautiful artwork in there. I mean, that is just such
Yes.
a gift in itself within the huge universe of the Turning of the Ages Mystery School, or what used to be Shamanic Astrology Mystery School. All this body of work is just so incredibly complex, and so many individual parts are, rich and uh, gifts in themselves, such as the card deck or the Origins book, where it is brought together, where these images are brought together with the associated information. So again, for anyone who is interested, to all those things are on our website, and you can find them there. Books, card deck, and it's being shipped internationally as well. We had some struggle with that, but we did
That's
manage.
great. That's great. Really. I mean, the images speak for themselves, and help us to understand. And I've had people, just pull out one card. Tucson Astrologers Guild has a party here in the summer once a year, and I always pull out the card deck, and have everybody pick a card, and then we share what it means to us. Just like
Mm.
Daniel uses it at the last day of the classes, or maybe through the classes, maybe some in our opening circle or the ending circle, people will get to pick a card, and see how we all, what all the different energy that we've woven together.
Mm.
It,
Mm. Mm.
it's a great tool. I pull it out when I'm doing a reading, I just love that tool, to help a person understand where they came from, their ascendant, their feminine or masculine archetypes, that
Yeah,
that's such a good
yeah.
tool. And
Yeah,
this,
I use that as well. I've bought this little, like a small tablecloth that has like a zodiac representation on it with all the 12 signs. And when I do readings sometimes, and I have that at hand, then I have little crystals and I have the cards. So I can literally represent the archetypes and where the planets are in relation to each other on that little piece of cloth, and it makes it really very visual and visceral for people. It's real fun.
and the little book that comes with it. I mean, if you forget some of the language or something, I mean, my brain, my Pisces, my Pisces moon, my brain's got a lot of these holes in it. The information just kind of, that's why Daniel with his Capricorn moon, it was the teacher, and I'm good at being the service, doing the service, like editing or something. But I love having that tool of that little book that goes with the cards. If you want to missing words, or want
Mm, mm. Yeah,
the
like with every other card deck as well, normally you don't remember all the information. You just keep looking it up, and that's perfectly fine. Mm.
it's kind of
Okay, Gail, I think we're coming to the top of the hour here. And
okay.
is there anything else that you would like to? I mean, I have many other questions, but maybe I'll just let you take the lead here in if there's anything that you would like to add to this whole conversation.
That question, what am I doing in the context of the school these days? Well,
Oh, right. Yes.
not, not too much. Having my house be Daniel's home when he's in the US, that's good. So keeping that connection with Daniel as my brother is really, really uh, mm, I don't know how to say it, but I'm really grateful for that. You know, and
Mm.
that he calls this place his home. A lot of his stuff's stored here still. I mean, the,
Apart from that, it needs to have a physical expression as well, right? A representation. No, but I need to add something to that, Gail, because it's not that much just that your home is Daniel's home away from home. When I was there and ever since then, so I was at yours in 2023. Now we are at the end of 2025. That's quite a while later. I've gotten much deeper into the school, into every crevice of this school, into the background operations and workings of it, and in all of that, I always feel that you are just there as an energetic um, space holder, someone who is very strongly helping to hold the school, Daniel, and everyone who is involved with it in sacred space.
thank you.
And that is, it's almost like I know there are a couple other people who do that as well. They bring presence. They just bring their presence, and that is one of the greatest gifts, apart from everything else you've done in the past with and for the school and with and for Daniel. But right now, I would not want you to get away with not much, with the expression I'm not doing much. For that, nope. I find that that is a very, very important contribution that you, and I know of a couple of other people who bring that same contribution or in a similar way. And it's almost like, for me, it's a prayer circle. It's an angel circle, you
Mm,
know, that just holds the school in sacred space, and just wanting the best for it and knowing the value these teachings
mm,
can and do bring to people, and holding this through all the ups and downs, through all the challenges. And here we are humans, there's human conflict happening everywhere, right, left, and center, especially during these crazy times, when everything gets triggered, everybody gets triggered, egos just blow right, left, and center. And it's so difficult
oh,
to keep relating to each other in the best possible human way. And so, yeah, that's what I really hugely appreciate as your contribution to the school.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really glad that I can perform this, be this, um, that support this relationship, um, this support this relationship. I was really glad, really, I'm really happy that the Daniel rebranded the school as the Turning of the Ages Mystery School. That takes it away from that, rather uh, overly used shamanic title. But I'm also glad that I can still call myself a shamanic astrologer. That was a little conundrum, how do I call myself the Turning of the Ages Mystery School astrologer? But anyway, I'm glad
Well, I think that it's a beautiful case of both end. You know, I also find it's wonderful as a both end. It's good that that overused word shamanic is not in the title of the school
it's
anymore,
good. It's good.
and yet it's an easy encapsulation. Shamanic astrologer, the shamanic astrology paradigm. This is a trademarked expression,
Yeah.
so that is standing. And anybody who is certified in this school can use that.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's where I find it's a both end, totally both valid.
So the other way I do support Daniel in this work is by maintaining myself and the Tucson Astrologers Guild. I am you can find me the corporation commission calls me the president, but I feel I'm one of a steering circle, but I keep it going. And whenever I can, because Daniel's in town, maybe he's staying at my house. Oh, he's going to be staying at my house in May. Let's have Daniel as the speaker. It's costly for astrologers to fly across the country anymore to actually be a physical speaker somewhere. And that's why, yeah, Zooms are nice, but I really take advantage of whenever Daniel's in town to have him speak for us. And to support, to keep supporting this work in any way that I can, and announcing events to the Tucson Astrologers Guild. There's a group of, we keep hoping that to get new people, and we get a few new people, and I can tell them what's going on with the Turning of the Ages Mystery School. And yeah, to be to be again a networker. I'm always the networker. I'm always the networker as well as the editor. Those are my jobs.
Wonderful. No, that's really great. That's so endearing in so many ways. And also, I don't know whether there's anything else that you would like to add, then I will come to my final question.
One more piece. That was, I said, okay, now I go from this paper to this paper.
Oh, you have papers, you have notes. Okay, you're probably more prepared. And if anyone can guess about a strong archetype in Gail's chart, leave a comment on YouTube about someone so well prepared with notes and those types of things. Okay, carry on, carry on. That was just one irreverent joke.
I don't know. Maybe you weren't going to ask this question last, but is there anything going on in the cosmos?
Yeah, no, that is exactly the question that I want to ask. What's I know prior to starting the recording here, we've talked a little bit about the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. I don't know whether there's anything, but what is it that you might be on your radar the most at this point that you might want to comment on that's going on in the astrology, in the cosmos?
Well, I do like to point out to people when they looking at the sky these evenings, Saturn is, you can see Saturn at this time, and it is right beneath the four stars of what the astronomers call the baseball diamond. It's really the constellation of Pegasus. But Saturn,
I've never heard that. That was such a desecration.
thanks to the Astronomers Union, yes, and anyway, Saturn is at that place where the spring equinox is, and you can see it and visually have a transmission when you look in the night sky at Saturn. Jupiter, on the other hand, is very visible and beautiful, hanging out around the constellation of the Twins. I mean, it will retrograde right back to the center, just below those two stars of Pollux and Castor. And that's about where my midheaven is. So I recognized that one time when we were at an event here and Mars was at that point, and I go, oh my gosh, that's where my midheaven is. And so I've that connection. I invite people to go out and make that connection with where they can see these planets at this time. And since Venus and Mars are off the world stage, we look to these other, Jupiter being still very bright, they're in the sacred hoop. And Jupiter, while it is in the zodiacal sign of Cancer, at the top of my chart, around the midheaven, I am really trying to finish off this process I have of making this land into a land trust, and so that the trustee, the land trust is called the Sanavir Peak Sanctuary, and the trust is called the Sanavir Peak Wildlife Preserve, which will be the holder of the sanctuary. And one of the missions of that trust is, or purposes of the trust, is to host events or group like the Turning of the Ages Mystery School, like Daniel would head up, a group that would come here and enjoy the sky, be able to be with the night sky. It's going to be there in that trust, the languages, so that, because I think we have to maintain. I'm so loyal to this cause. You might say I'm loyal. That's one of those things. It's in my chart. My loyalty to this work and to the founder that created it, to my brother, that there is a place where it can continue on for small groups, or maybe we can even raise money at some time to build the actual teaching building. I've envisioned, I had it in my brain. I hold that vision for many, many years. But I'm hoping that at least we'll make some more progress while Jupiter is in Cancer.
Beautiful. But also maybe even for individuals or someone in their RV, in their camper van,
So we have a campground. We have a very nice campground. It's got running water, hot and cold running water, and a flush toilet and little gold fixtures that came. Well, that's another story.
Yeah, it is another story, but I really wanted to tickle that out here just a little bit, because for me it was so magical also to be staying at your place. And if anyone really seeks some kind of little retreat and where they can commune with the land
Yeah.
and with the sky.
Come camp out, bring your a small RV. Big RV won't fit it, but you could plug in your RV to septic and
Yeah,
move
so it's such a magical
yeah,
place.
I invite you. Please come. I'd love to share this magical space with you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Where can people find you if they want to make use of an offer like that? I mean, I obviously always link to people's astrologer listing in on our website. So there's an email for Gail. If anyone wants to reach out, you can do that. But you also have a personal website,
Well,
right?
you can find me at gailchilson.com. Gael, like in Scotland, you see the name on the sign of Gael, the people. I changed my spelling years and years ago, back in '89, that magical year. But Gael
I'll
Chilson.
pop that in the notes below this video as well.
And it leads to the other name of my website, at homewiththestarsastrology.com.
Well, this is certainly what this paradigm has done for you, and you're very, to make you feel at home with the stars, as being a human being with feet on the earth, very solid, very stable in a way, and at the same time so connected with the stars and being so passionate about that. And that's just wonderful, even to the extent of dedicating your entire, sanctuary there to, or at least in parts, to that cause. So thank you so much, Gail, for sharing this time with me, with us here, and sharing all the stories and all that background. I find it fascinating that, as I said, there's hardly anyone who I know who goes as far back as you. And so this is an amazing, amazing contribution to this whole Seed People Spotlight series. And obviously you are a seed person prototype, I would say.
Well, it's been a privilege, Naraya. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'll speak to you soon again on a personal level.
I'll stay
Thank
on
you.
in case you want to just stop the recording.
Yes. And thank you to everyone who's been watching this. So I
Yes.
really would like to encourage you to take a look at our website for certification program, upcoming events, whatever it is that you are looking for. It's all there at turningoftheages.com. And then the information for Gail is gailchilson.com, and I'll put all of that in the show notes below. So thank you,
Thank
and see you
you.
again very soon. Thank you, Gail.
Namaste.